let's just go ahead and get right into it.
I like
I
it.
think we should just start out with the Houston Texans and the abysmal offseason that they've had.
Yeah.
So for me, their offseason kind of started going downhill as soon as they did not get Eric Bieniemy as their head coach. Deshaun
Yeah.
Watson had come out and said that like this is the guy that like I want as head coach. Like he's an offensive minded guy, probably one of the more offensive minded guys in the league.
Hmm.
Uh, and I sorry, let me rephrase that. One of the more offensively creative guys in the league. I mean, he based off of what he's done in his current offense, it's like that he runs a
Yeah.
lot of schemes that are similar to Kyle Shanahan's, who's one of the best offensive coaches in the league.
Yeah.
So for me, that was already just a thumbs down. And then they signed a guy named David Culley, who this is his first time being a head coach in the NFL, right?
Yeah. If I'm not
And
mistaken,
so,
because that was one of the big
yeah,
controversy things is that he was still available, and then they ended up going with him. And then
yeah,
that kind
yeah,
of transitioned into Deshaun Watson being like, okay, I don't want to play here anymore. Um,
yeah. Well, Deshaun Watson would be lucky to play anywhere right now. So,
well, it's
but
looking
that for
like,
me was,
oh, yeah. Oh, go ahead.
uh,
Finish your thought.
but I was gonna say, but that for me was already like kind of a thumbs down. And then they lost J.J. Watt. Then the whole Deshaun Watson scandal came out, and they're just in a really rough place for
Hmm.
2021. I mean, the organization has gone downhill. I mean, 2 years ago they won a playoff game against the Bills. Uh,
Hmm.
so it's just kind of I don't know.
Well,
They're in a
and
tough spot.
they had really good opportunity against the Chiefs then as well to continue winning
Yeah,
and to continue going forward.
yeah,
But yeah, and it really is interesting too because I did not realize this, but the year that Deshaun Watson had, that can't be right. I think but he threw for 4,800 yards. I wrote down 13 passing touchdowns. I don't think that's correct. Is it 33 passing
no.
touchdowns? Yeah, I thought it was 33 passing touchdowns. Um,
Uh, I'll look it up right now, but for now
okay.
we'll roll with it.
Well,
Yeah, it
but
was 33.
33. And to be honest,
Yeah.
that was kind of with just an okay cast. Like he does have Brandon Cooks as his receiver. He had
Mm-hmm.
Keelan Cole as well, and he also had Randall Cobb. Not a poor class, but what's really going to hurt them, honestly,
Yeah.
this year is if Deshaun Watson does end up playing. Is they didn't really replace Keelan Cole. Their backup of Keelan Cole was Kiki Cote.
Kiki
And
QT.
Kiki Cutie. Oh, okay, I like
Yeah.
that actually. So it's going to be it's just going to be interesting, really, on how he's going to be able to provide that same production. But another thing though that people aren't really talking about is they had some questionable other like offensive signings. So my thing, I wondered. So they have David Johnson as a running back, who's still a pretty good running back. He is getting a little up there in
Yeah.
age. He's 29 years old. But then they signed three veteran running backs: Mark Ingram at age 31, Philip Lindsay, who's age 26 and starting to hit the prime of his career, I would say. But then Rex
Yeah.
Burkhead at age 30. They spent a lot of time and money bringing in those guys to be backup of David Johnson. So now they have four like good starters that could carry the load. And it was very odd to me, especially with all the other holes that they had. They lost J.J. Watt, and they didn't really replace him. They did bring in Shaq Lawson via trade. Uh,
Yeah.
but it was very interesting, some of the organizational moves that they made and some of the weapons that they brought in.
Mm-hmm.
And really, they didn't really need. I mean, if you're going to bring in a running back, like I don't know. I mean, I think Mark Ingram
Well,
is a good running back, but is he significantly better than David Johnson?
no. Oh, no. David Johnson is definitely better than Mark
Yeah.
Ingram. But the Rex Burkhead one and like coupling all those guys together is like you just have one starting running back and you have three other like good running backs that all just kind of do like this weird like mishmash of things.
Yeah.
Uh, like I don't know. And with Mark Ingram being 31 as a running back, a
Hmm.
little bit questionable. But they did release Duke Johnson,
Okay.
who uh, was kind of like a poor man's David Johnson.
Yeah.
He did a lot of the same things, caught passes out of the backfield and that. But that for me, I understand why they want to bring as much talent as they can to the running back position, but ignoring the holes is what's odd for me. It's like they didn't really bring in any other like wide receivers that can really contribute.
Yeah, they didn't really bring in any other wide receiver that's going to stand out. They did draft Nico Collins in the 3rd round, so he'll probably get some significant playing time this year. But then on top of that, though, if you look at what they lost on defense, they lost J.J. Watt, Carlos Watkins, Benedict McKinney, Terrell Adams, who led or who had 125 total tackles last year.
Yeah.
They're really their only kind of face of that defense is going to be Zach Cunningham. Now they did replace J.J. Watt's sack production with bringing in DeMarcus Walker and Shaq Lawson. But I don't know if they're going to have the 3-down fire. I feel like J.J. Watt, and correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but J.J. Watt was a 3-down guy. He could stop the run and stop the pass. He led the team in sacks. Was the face of the franchise.
I mean, he's a Hall of Fame defensive end.
Yeah, a Hall of Fame defensive end. And I don't know. It just feels like they glossed over losing all this talent on the defensive side. Let alone then also they were, I believe, the 27th ranked defense last year, the 20, and they did not really. I don't think addressed the secondary that much. Their secondary wasn't really that great. Their offensive line, they have some serious questions on the interior. But hey, they have 4 veteran running backs. It just seemed like they didn't really do a very good job focusing on the entire picture.
They have 4 veteran running backs with an offensive line that is going to struggle to block for them.
Well, right? The offensive line is pretty solid in the pass protection, but not very good in the run protection at all.
And I bet they regret that Laramie Tunsil trade. I mean, they gave up so much for that Laramie Tunsil pick. He's a good tackle. It's just they could have. I mean, they could have been 3rd overall this year and picked Penei Sewell.
They could have been.
Yeah. So that for me is like kind of, I guess, a good rundown of why our record prediction probably is the way it is. But my record prediction for the Houston Texans is 0-17. I think they'll be the number 1 pick next year. And I hate to say it, but they're probably the worst team in the NFL.
I think they'll win a game. I mean, here, let me look at their schedule here. Like, it's so hard to go. I think it's harder to go. Well, I won't say that actually. I won't say it's harder to go 0-17 than 17-0. But let me see here.
But so week 1 they have a chance. They play Jacksonville at Houston,
and that one, especially if Deshaun Watson plays, because Jacksonville has a lot of just unknown question marks.
I will say my record prediction is having Deshaun Watson not play.
Okay. So, and I've been hearing reports that he's not going. His court date's not until after the season, so it is potentially possible that he ends up playing in the 2022 season if the NFL does not put him on the not the commissioner exempt list. It's called something, just the one where they say that you're not allowed to play because of an ongoing court investigation. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I was going to get back to the schedule really quick. So I was going to say, but getting back to the schedule. So week 1, they play Jacksonville at Houston, right? So that's a winnable game, right? But then the next 8 games, they go to Cleveland and they play Carolina at home. And I have Carolina going 10-7 and being pretty good this year. Then they go to Buffalo, play New England, then to Indianapolis, to Arizona. Then they play the Rams and then go to Miami. All of those 8 games, they're going to lose.
Yeah, I mean, the only one that they have a shot would be the Panthers. I would say.
Yeah.
Just home in Houston, you never know. But then, I would say their next best winnable game is November 28th, the Jets.
Yeah.
And then they do play the Jags again December 19th. But I'm just not looking at. I mean, I have them being the first overall pick. Pretty pretty easily. I mean, maybe the Lions might contend with them.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, and a lot of it to do is, I mean, we'll have to see if Deshaun Watson does play. But then if he does play, I mean, Tyrod Taylor is, I think, a fine quarterback. I mean, he's an okay quarterback, but he's not Deshaun Watson production. He's not going to throw for 4,800 yards, 33 touchdowns.
No, not
He's
even
also not
close.
going to run as well as Deshaun Watson does. So,
No, yeah.
um, and that's what I said, and it goes back to, like, even if Deshaun Watson does play, though, they did not set themselves up for success with a lot of the offseason moves that they've made. I feel like they didn't really address any of the major losses, especially in the linebacker core and
Mhm.
the defense. And so, like, yes, they brought in DeMarcus Walker, who had 4.5 sacks, and Shaq Lawson that had 4. Well, are those guys, are they going to be able to play all 3 downs, or are they more pass?
Yeah, exactly.
Are they more third down, like pass situations,
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so, how are you going to help protect that and reproduce that production while also then improving your run stopping defense and a secondary that they didn't really address? So,
Mhm.
um, I think the only person that they brought in was Desmond King and Terrence Mitchell that I saw that might provide some sort of impact. So,
Yeah.
we'll have to see. I don't think it's going to be a good year for them. I think you can almost pencil them in now as the first overall pick. At worst, maybe the third overall pick. But